Prepare for a meeting. If you would, please silence your phone devices. There he is. Ready? A little tough to park today. What tough to park today? Tough to park today. Got All right, you ready? At this time, the mayor will call to order the regular city council meeting for May the 14th of 2024 to order in the city council chambers at 201 East Nash Street, Terrell, Texas. Have with us in the chambers, District 3, Mayrani Velasquez, Mayor Pro Tem. We have District 5, Phil Robinson. Not with us and excused are District 2, Grady Simpson, and District 4, Stephanie Holmes Thomas, Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. We do have a quorum, so we will continue with our meeting. At this time, I'd like to ask for Pastor Stephen McKnight to please come forward. He's with the Terrell First Assembly of God Church. He's going to lead us in invocation. If everyone would please stand, remain standing for the flags.
Let's bow our heads and pray. Dear Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. I thank you for this council and for the city of Terrell. Thank you for everything that you're doing in and through our city and our community. I pray for this council meeting tonight. Give our council members wisdom and guidance as they deliberate on the items before them. May every decision be righteous in your sight for our benefit and for your glory. We ask that you would continue to bless and guide our leaders as they work to serve the city of Terrell. We're thankful for them, and we honor you tonight. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. So as you can tell, the chambers are full. We've got quite a few recognitions for this evening. We're going to start off with the GLA kids. If you're a GLA kid or if you have your parents with you, if you would please come forward. So I wish the other council members could be here this evening because they wanted to say thank you as well. But on behalf of the mayor and the city council and all of our staff, we want to thank y'all for all that you do throughout the year for us. These are little gifts and cards. You know, when the mayor's not feeling well or a little down, I can go to those. I keep them at home in my office and look at those, and it reminds me of why we're here doing what we do for you, right? So when you grow up, you inherit a city that you can be proud of. So we want to thank you for all that you do and your teachers, and the principal. I see Ms. Pritchett back there, so it really does help us and inspire us when we're down. Council, did y'all want to acknowledge or say something?
I had a chance to say hello to a couple of our global leadership, right? Global leadership students. I see y'all nodding. Yeah. So thank you so much for all the gifts, all the creativity, crafts that y'all bring. It's always really nice to see a gift here. And I don't know what else could make us smile at the beginning of a long council meeting on Tuesday night. So thank you all.
I think the councilwoman expressed what I wanted to say as well. It's just such a moment of just smiles and happiness when we see those gifts here. And also, when I bring them home to my family, my son is always, blown away by the little toys, and it's so neat. So thank you guys so much for all that you've done for us, and you just good luck with everything.
And there's sometimes when we're horse trading. So the first one that gets here, if there's something really cool, then he can go and switch it out before the others get it. That's my little secret. That's why I come in first. No, they all are special to us, everything that you do.
I have to also say thank you. And then as the city manager, I am also going to tell you that I expect at least some of you guys to come forward and be future police chief. I need a future city attorney. No offense to these guys over here, but I need to replace them eventually. They're going to retire one day, and I need you guys, So it's very, very important. You guys can do service as elected officials. You guys can do service in lots of different roles working for a city. When you learn how important it is, the work that gets done, and how important the volunteer work is that the council does, it really makes a difference because it's about where you are, right? There are people in this room, Francis Anderson over here, who devoted their life to education and made a difference for generation after generation after generation. And all we are up here? We're people who inherited the work of the people who came before us. And so we're really serious about doing this work for y'all. So thank you for the gifts, but just remember, one day you'll be one of these old people with gray hair, right? And we need you to look back and say, yeah, I gave some decades of service to my city too. Okay, would you do that for me? You gonna get a little yes? I got a couple of yeses. All right, thanks guys.
All right, would y'all come over here so we can take a picture? Oh, we've got some. So, as a little thank you, we have some football, not for you.
That one can't go home to your kids.
I know, right?
You would love that.
Those cannot come to recess. I get in trouble with the principal now.
Here we go. And then we also have a cookie. Here we go. Who else? Oh, sorry. All right. And I think the staff has some pins. I bet your mom and dad are gonna love these. There you go. And cookies.
That smile. Yeah.
Those are the good cookies too.
And some.
They didn't get a pen. Let's see. There you go.
All right, let's take a quick photo, and then on your way out, grab a cookie on your way.
Yeah, I mean, it's really
Do you want to just come back?
Can we go this direction? Allison, is that okay if we come this way a little bit?
I'm tall, so
Absolutely. You're so good. This is great. You guys are the good looking ones anyways.
Oh, there we go. Sweetie, can you take a step back right over here so we can see you? Yes.
Good job. Perfect.
There we go.
Okay, that's great.
They're doing good.
Perfect. Councilman Rosen, there you go.
Right here.
Thank you.
Next, we will acknowledge and recognize our police department and those in law enforcement. This is National Police Week recognition. So I have a proclamation. It's from the Office of the Mayor of the City of Terrell, and it reads, whereas National Police Week honors the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy, and whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Terrell Police Department, and whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, there are currently 24,067 law enforcement officers in the United States who have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty, including 2 members of the Terrell Police Department. And whereas the names of these individuals are dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 282 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 118 officers killed in 2023 and 164 officers killed in previous years, and whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 36th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th of 2024, and whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of the National Police Week, which will be observed this year, May the 10th through the 16th, whereas May the 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Now, therefore, I, Rick Carmona, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor and on behalf of the Terrell City Council, do hereby proclaim May 10th through the 16th as National Police Week in the city of Terrell, and ask all citizens to join me in publicly saluting the service of our law enforcement officers and those serving in communities across the nation. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the corporate seal of the city of Terrell, Texas, to be affixed this, the 14th day of May of 2024. Do we have a representative from the Terrell Police Department? If y'all would please come forward. Our Assistant Police Chief and our K-9 Max is with them. So the mayor would like to thank all the men and women who serve with the Terrell Police Department. They do an outstanding job in protecting and serving this community. Very proud of the work and the effort that goes in every day. Very professional, and we certainly appreciate all that you do. And God bless you, each and every one of you. Absolutely. So let's go down. See if we can get it. Are we going to be able to get everybody?
No.
So
If you want another picture, we could go outside and do one in front of City Hall, or however y'all want to do it.
or bunch up? Yeah. Can we bunch up?
We can.
Can you get these?
I can put him up front. There he goes.
Yeah.
He's got his shoes. Is that any better?
It's better, yes. You're good. Don't all look about this big, but you're good.
I was going to text you and say Channel 8. Yes. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Sims and let him do the last recognition.
So, Mayor, I am absolutely thrilled with this, and it's because I'm a lousy basketball player, and I really admire people who are actually good at playing basketball. So, we have been working for some time to attract a professional sports team. And if you know basketball, you've got NBA, you've got their franchises that are below that, and then you have another league. We have a team that wants to play in Terrell who's part of that league that you can just call minor league basketball. And we are so very excited about these guys being here. And so we had a really good meeting this morning with the owner and of the overall league and the owner of the local franchise, and we are absolutely thrilled with the way things worked out. We had a moment at that meeting, and when these things happen, you just got to pause and you got to say, man, I can't believe that really happened. We said, hey, I tell you what, let's all leave this meeting and sit down and pray that this is going to work out, because we had a very tight deadline to get this team to play this Thursday at Southwestern Christian College and have their last game of their season against a team from New Mexico who they will absolutely destroy, because look at these guys. And by golly, that prayer was answered. And within just a couple of hours, we had a home for this team, and we really, really want to welcome them. We want to make sure that they're in Terrell for a long time. There's the word Texas on those shirts. Man, I can't wait to turn those into a Terrell and label that with a Terrell name. So let me just make sure I say my names right. David Magley is the president of the Basketball League. That's the TBL. That's the name of the league. Sammy Howard is here. She is the owner. She has been just a saint to work with and really, really terrific. Very, very helpful. If we didn't have Sammy leading the parade, it really wouldn't happen. So she is awesome. Kendrick, head coach, is here around somewhere. I saw him. Excellent. Anthony, assistant head coach. I think I've got fewer names on my player roster than are really sitting out here, but I've got Solomon Mitchell, Chase Cobb, Devin Reed, Britt Hammond, and I'm sorry, I don't have everybody's name, but man, we're just glad you're here.
Who else do we have?
Who'd I
Go ahead
miss?
and-
Jeremiah Gillian. Okay, excellent, wonderful. All right, well, welcome to town. And remember, there's a lot going on Thursday night. There's events downtown with music Thursday night. That's our music kickoff. To add a basketball game Thursday night when we're doing our first music kickoff in downtown, that is so great. Thank y'all so much for being here in town. And we can't wait to just do great things with you. So,
Thank
awesome.
y'all for being here. Yeah. Would y'all please come forward so we can take a photo real quick? Thank you.
One more picture.
No such thing as shorts.
Daryl, I think I need you over here, man. Give us a line. Hey, there's a guy back there. Daryl, you need to get him on there.
All right. And I'm gonna go, not a player. Okay. Phil, will you get right here in between, please? Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your owner, Sammy Howard.
I
think there's an alumni game coming up. We think we can sneak some of
You look like you're part of the. Yeah, right. Thank y'all.
Make this happen, all right? Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you, Coach. All right, good. All right, put it on them.
Yeah, head coach announces they're heading off to practice.
Yes, we're going to practice right now.
They don't want to sit through zoning ordinances?
So our next item on the agenda is, to hear remarks from visitors. We do have one that has filled out. Do you have anybody else down there? Just one? So Jeffrey Langwell, if you would please come forward, state your name and your address, please.
My name is Pastor Jeffrey Langwell. I live at 201 Timber Court here in Terrell. I've been a resident here for about a little over 2 years. I'm here representing the Terrell Action Committee. I just actually found out about the ordinance that's going to be brought up. The ordinance is going to be brought up for a vote. So I would like to address just generally what the Terrell Action Committee does here in Terrell. We're a coalition of churches and public organizations, mental health, and we try to come together to try to coordinate our efforts in order to address the housing challenged population here in the city of Terrell. We don't have a large population, but we do have some people here that are very struggling with many different issues. The housing problem here in Terrell is quite acute. The affordable housing is even worse. We've spent our resources and times trying to pick people up and to address the systemic issues that they have in their lives, which normally has to do with family matters and employment, education. After reading the ordinance just a few minutes ago, I have to question what was the motivation for this. Believe me, I've spoken to many of these men on a regular occasion, and women, that are facing these issues. And every one of them kind of have a different story, but all of them are definitely struggling with some part of the puzzle that they can't put together. We have worked with those people. Some of them have succeeded in bringing themselves out of that situations, but many of them aren't going to be able to. And by imposing such a steep fine on somebody in that circumstance, it's going to be such a devastating burden to them that really their only option is to leave town, which is what I would consider is probably a part of the discussion when you guys were trying to tailor this proposal. I hope that you would think long and hard that this could be your son or your father or somebody that you care about, or maybe it's just your neighbor's son or father or daughter. It is an issue, and we don't want it to continue. We can't help everybody, but there are people that we can help if we team up and try to put some things in place, like a community center, like trying to get developers to put in affordable housing. It is possible that some of these people that you see around here, you can have the credit, share the credit with us to raise them up and to get them back on their feet. This isn't the right approach, and I would ask the city council to consider this to be, I don't want to say that I'm in complete opposition to it, because I know it's an issue that needs to be addressed, but please pray before you vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next item on the agenda is our election items. This is item 4.1. It's discuss and consider resolution number 2158, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Terrell, Texas, accepting the election returns as certified by the Kaufman County election official and declaring the results of the joint election held on May the 4th of 2024 in Terrell, Texas, for the purpose of electing a council member for District Number 2 to serve a 3-year, 3-term. This is going to be handled by our City Secretary, Don Stahl.
Mayor and council, resolution number 2158 accepts the election returns of the election held on May 4th, 2024, as certified by the Kaufman County election official. There were a total of 52 ballots cast for council member District 2. Donna Renee Anderson received 46 votes. Grady Simpson received 6 votes. Therefore, Donna Renee Anderson is hereby declared to be duly elected to the office of Council Member District 2 to serve a 3-year term and take the oath of office.
All right. Thank you, Don. So, is there a motion on resolution number 2158?
Motion to approve resolution number 2158.
We have a motion and is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velazquez, Mayor Pro Tem District 3, a second from Farrell Robinson, District 5, to approve resolution number 2158 as presented. Do we need to read that in the record, or we've already done that?
We can go ahead and vote it.
Okay.
But you'll need to vote too.
Yes, all right. So, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries for unanimous vote of those present. I'd like to welcome our newest council member to serve for the City of Terrell, and that's Mrs. Donna Renee Anderson. If you would please come forward, and we're going to have your swearing in. And I think this is going to be done by Pastor Stephen McKnight from the Terrell First Assembly of God Church. And anyone, I don't know who else you would like up here with you to swear in, your mom maybe, or your family,
I don't know, want my crew up here?
your crew, yes?
Everybody's coming up here.
I got one, yes.
How does this work? I put my Bible like this. Dawn, do I hold my Bible?
You can go either way, I think.
Put your right hand, yeah,
My right hand on the
Right hand
Bible?
on the Bible.
raise your right hand, put your,
Or raise your right hand.
yeah, put your left hand on the Bible. There you go.
Okay, here we go.
Raise your right hand.
Okay, here we go.
All right, ready? Repeat after me. I, Donna Renee Anderson, do solemnly swear
I, Donna Renee Anderson, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
of council member for District 2
of council member for District 2
of the City of Terrell.
of the City of
State
Terrell
and State of Texas.
and State of Texas,
And will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend
and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state,
the Constitution of the United States and this state,
and the charter and ordinances of this city.
and the charter and ordinances of this city,
And I furthermore solemnly swear
and I furthermore solemnly swear
that I am not directly or indirectly
that I am not directly or indirectly
paid, offered, or promised to pay,
paid, offered, or promised to pay,
contributed, nor promised to contribute
contributed, nor promised to contribute
any money or valuable thing,
any money or valuable thing,
or promise any public office or employment
or promise any public office or employment
as a reward for the giving or withholding of vote,
as the reward for
the
giving or
withholding,
withholding of vote
at the election at which I was elected,
at the election at which I was elected,
or if the office is one of appointed,
or the office is one appointed
to secure my appointment.
to secure my appointment.
So help me God.
So help me God. Amen.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Pastor. Oh, wait, we gotta take a picture.
All right, at this time, it's my honor to welcome Mrs. Donna Renee Anderson, District 2 representative for the City of Terrell. We're going to recess for a few minutes and let Ms. Anderson take some photos and say your little thank you. So we are recessed. Me? Me? Yeah, okay, yeah. Hey, Donna, would you, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could I just take a photo real quick? Let's take a photo real quick and then we got business to do.
What are we doing?
We're going to take a photo for, ready?
Okay, now what's this all about? We have no idea, just a picture, Mom.
May Ronnie, is May Ronnie here? Phil, get in here.
Where's my Ronnie?
Oh, there's Mayor, disappeared.
Ready?
Say, Mayor, we're gonna outdo the guy.
I know, right?
I know.
Yeah, well, we already feel it.
That's right, yeah. Watch her. She is.
All right. Let's get to work. Let's get to work.
So great to
Yeah.
see you, Ms. Anderson.
I was gonna say, you gotta. Oh, make sure you don't leave it behind. I have no question. It's like a
Oh, where'd the rest of council go?
Got a police escort? Never.
All right.
Look at how ours is moved back and theirs is way up.
Hey, you know, I was fixing to switch with you and give you that little. That's all. That's all I need. All right, we're going to reconvene into our regular city council meeting. At this time, we're going to go to boards and commissions. Item 5.1, discuss airport board reappointment. This is going to be handled by our City Secretary, Don Stahl.
Mayor and council, in your packet is the airport board roster. Juanita Attaway would like to serve a second term. Her term will be up in May of '24. And her email is in here saying that she would like to be reappointed. And this board falls under the oversight of Rick Carmona,
Yeah,
Mayor.
so, this is a discuss only.
Yes, this will
Yeah.
come back next week.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll visit this next week, but my inclination is to go ahead and reappoint Juanita Attaway. So we'll do that next week. Next item on the agenda is 5.2, discuss tax increment reinvestment zone numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Power Center Board's appointment and reappointments. Again, this is going to be handled by our City Secretary, Don Stahl.
Mayor and council, the TERS 1, 2, and 3 and Power Center board rosters are in your packet. Donna Renee Anderson was elected as City Council Member, District 2. She was on TERS number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the Power Center Board, and she has submitted her resignation. And so that will be an open position on that board. Juan Salazar has served 2 terms on both boards, and his terms expire in May of '24, and he wish to be reappointed. There's an email in your packet saying that as well. Charles Whitaker has served 1 term on the Power Center Board, and he would like to be reappointed. And we need to do a little bit of cleanup on the Power Center side on expiration dates as well. So this will get all of that cleaned up.
Council, so this is going to be my appointment as well?
Yes.
All right, so council, if you have someone that you would like for the mayor to consider, please let me know, and then we'll move on that next Tuesday, just for me to consider on not only the tax increment refinance zone boards, but also the airport board. If you have somebody in mind, I don't mind taking a look at them before I make the decision which way to go there. Our next item on the agenda is 5.3, discuss library advisory board appointment. Again, City Secretary Don Stile.
Mayor and council, the library board, advisory board rosters in your packet. Donna Renee Anderson was on this board as well, and she is now council member District 2. She has submitted her resignation, so we will need to appoint, or council will need to appoint someone to fill her position.
All right, and this
Falls under the oversight of Stephanie Holmes Thomas.
right, and I briefly visited with Councilwoman Stephanie Holmes Thomas, and she's aware of it, and probably next Tuesday she'll have someone that she would like to appoint. But let's make sure that she gets that before our next meeting, please.
Yes, sir.
Next item on the agenda, discuss upcoming meeting calendars. Again, City Secretary Don Stile.
Mayor and council, in your packet is the May through August calendars. You'll note we do not have any more council meetings in May. If you go to the June calendar, we will be having a regular city council meeting on the 4th of June, along with the library summer reading kickoff from 5 to 7 that evening. And we will also have a regular city council meeting on the 25th at 6 o'clock. In July, we will be having only two meetings, one on July 16th and one on the July 30th. We will also be doing the utilities and the preliminary budget workshop on July 16th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and the regular city council meeting that evening, and we'll try to make that a small agenda. We've really tried to get that on a date where all the council members can be there. So please let me know if you can't be there for that one. And then in August, you can see the regular meetings are on the 6th, the 20th, and the 27th. We will be having budget items that will need to be voted on, starting the end of August into September.
All right. Thank you, Don. So I want to bring something up for July. It is possible that I think we might be able to do just one meeting. If it is one? I'm seeing a budget workshop
one council meeting.
One day.
Yes.
We could do this all in one day if you chose to do this on the 16th. We could probably move our city council meeting to the 16th and do it all day and only have one day, right? From morning till evening.
We do have a meeting on the 16th.
Oh, we do? We have a council
sir.
meeting on that date too?
Yes.
I was thinking we were going to have one meeting in July.
Well, I think the 30th was added, just in case we had anything that needed to be voted on.
I can accept the challenge of try to remove the July 30th meeting from the docket. I think the most important thing is that we will have public hearings that are required on the 16th and that evening, so it'll be a long day for that one day. And if council should so choose, and I hear you, Mayor, probably don't want to sit here right now and commit to canceling that 30th meeting, but I understand the directive, and we'll work on that. The city council would have a meeting on August the 6th, so I can probably work on that part of it and get those moved over to August the 6th.
So, yeah, my goal was to have one meeting in August that way so that the council, if they had something going on July, they could either do it before the 16th or after the 16th, and then it wouldn't interfere in any other meetings. You'd have 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense. I would also, I'm open to, instead of having sort of an all-day meeting with the morning workshop and then the meeting in the evening, moving maybe the council meeting to the 9th and having the utilities workshop on the 16th. Is that not possible? Okay, well.
Yeah.
Some conflicts.
Yeah, so that we were trying to figure out a date that worked for most, and the 16th happened to be it.
All right.
I know it's a long day, but if you think about it, just being one day for July and then you're off. That was the thinking behind trying to get the 16th to work for us. But take a look at it and see if you're available or not. And then in August, because of that's going to be our budget, right?
Yeah, I think the most important things to take away from this are the 16th is a very full, very long day in July. And then if you go one more page, Dawn, you can see in the August calendar, there's that August 9th. So that's a Friday all day. That's an 8 to 5. And so those are the two things that I would really want council to flag is we need you all day on July the 16th. We need you all day on August the 9th.
Okay. Good. Anybody have any questions, comments? Next item on the agenda are discussion items. Item 6.1.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we bring to you tonight for discussion only, ordinance number 3047, an ordinance of the City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, amending Chapter 8, Offenses and Nuisances by adding Section 8-10, prohibition of the unauthorized placement, erection, or maintenance of temporary shelters on designated public property, providing a penalty, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Okay. This will be handled by our interim police chief, Arlie Sanson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jeffrey, I appreciate your comments earlier. I assure you, we're gonna make sure this is handled the correct way. The point that I want to make to the council in regards to both of the ordinances, we'll talk specifically about the one before you today. It all boils down to delivery, the spirit, and then the enforcement. This is not designed as a punitive action unless it is absolutely necessary. In the guidance to my staff, I want everybody to be treated with dignity and respect. Regardless of the situation that they may be in, it might be of choice. It might be of the nature of something that they did not have in control, and I want my staff to look into that. If you'll notice in the ordinance, there are at least a couple of different aspects that require further steps on the behalf of the enforcer before an action is taken. So don't think of either of these ordinances in the format of we're going to go out there and get them, because that is not the spirit nor the delivery of the enforcement. This is going to be an opportunity for us to contact an individual, determine if they are qualifying and eligible to be plugged into some type of service, encourage, guide, and direct them to those types of services, and then get them plugged in. Occasionally, you do encounter people that absolutely insist, I don't want your help, I don't want your services, get out of my face. This would be an example where we might have to change the delivery, and it might become an enforcement matter. So I just want to be clear on that. This is a tool. We need to have tools in the city to be able to empower us when certain situations arise that don't fit the norm. Be glad to answer any questions about it. You've got the ordinance before you, and I've got a couple of things highlighted that I think you might bring up. We'll see.
Oh, Chief, I want to just be clear on why we are looking at this ordinance. We have business owners that call the mayor on a pretty regular basis. Chief knows this, and they need some relief. It's not the individual that is just minding his own business that we're interested in. There are some homeless out here that are doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Correct.
And we need them off our streets to make it safe for our public, make it safe to operate your business, and that is the whole purpose of this. And they're just asking for some type of relief, and we have to have something that we're able to use in our toolbox to help them out.
To that point, if you'll notice, the ordinances both relate primarily to public access areas. As an individual, if I own a piece of property and I don't want you there, I can tell you, you can't be here. I can post trespassing signs, I can place purple paint, I can do a number of things to indicate to you that you're not welcome in this location. But in public areas, it's a little bit more difficult, and so we have to have something in our toolbox to be able to empower us when those situations arise where you can't reason with somebody, when you can't logically determine what benefits and help and resources might be available to guide them and help them through that. And we need to have that in our toolbox to be able to get it done.
Anybody have any comments?
Mayor,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a, am I on?
Yes, ma'am, go right ahead.
Okay. Chief, I have been homeless. And it is a troubling thing to find yourself in that situation. We need to protect our businesses. At the same time, we need to understand there are organizations in the city that are addressing this situation. And I do know that there are people who are out there that don't want our help, no matter whether it's North Terrell or South Terrell. They're out there. You can, and you're shorthanded. In addition to all the things you do, you've got this. Before we make a decision on this ordinance, the Terrell Action Committee, Kaufman County Homeless Coalition, Straight Out of Darkness, Serenity Corner, have a relationship with this community, along with the people that I have met at the churches that serve this community. And I would like to see them be a part of how do we make this better? Because it's not going to get better. When I was traveling across the United States looking for work, I met the homeless population that travels. You need to know there's a level of homelessness. If you have a car, you're considered upscale. And if it's driving, you're really upscale. Portland, Oregon is where I stayed for 10 years, and bless their heart, is this being recorded? It's a problem. It escalated into anarchy. And I don't want to see that here, but at the same time, I don't want to see us lose our humanity in the process. At the same time, you've got men and women who are doing their work to protect and serve, and now you've got to take care of something that the community of churches who are supposed to, we need to gather all of us together in all of our districts to say, okay, we need some help. What does that look like? I think we should partner with you. I should partner with you to say, let's sit down and let's make this happen. Because I don't want to see a tent in front of Shipley's Donuts. Because if you don't want to do that. I don't want to see us either be like other cities that walk over homeless people. So I understand the spirit of the ordinance, but I think we need to have a little bit more discussion before we have a vote.
So that's exactly what we're doing, Councilwoman, is this is a discussion item only. There'll be no decisions made tonight.
Correct.
But in the process of how we do business, we review the ordinances, we take information, we work on it, and then it's brought back to us for a vote.
Yes.
So we're not voting anything.
Oh, I know we're not
Yeah.
voting. I understand that. I'm just, this is my comment.
Right, okay. Again, I'm all for faith-based partners in our community. I think we walk a fine line when we determine what the city's role versus their roles are. When and where we can work together, that's great, but you got to remember we're a community of 20,000 people, and the homeless population is what? 50, maybe?
Very small.
Very small.
Very small.
So when you're asking the mayor to implement policy on 50 people, when we have 19,950 people that are okay, I don't mind looking at it, but you can see where we are. And so I don't want to do anything that's going to increase that population. I want to decrease that population, and I don't mean decrease it by running them out of town. I mean decreasing it by getting them help. And so that would be my charge for the faith-based partners. Come to the city with some hard evidence that we're able to do that, right? And that helps everyone. Does anybody?
Arlie, what is the current penalty for someone sleeping on the street or at a park bench, or is there anything at all? Okay, so there's zero punitive. Okay. My feeling is before we begin enacting punitive ordinances, we should make sure that we've got services in place, because if we just say, you can't sleep here, you can't sleep there, you can't sleep there, where do they go, you know? I mean, really the only option is to run out of town or, you know, what, you know, get arrested. So that's kind of the issue. And I feel like it's a bit of a cart before the horse to say, here's the punishment before there's any kind of way to, you know, do anything for them. I went to a recent meeting with the Terrell Action Committee that Pastor Jeffrey was speaking about earlier. And one of the things that was noted was that HUD, this may be an underestimation, but HUD feels that we have approximately 20 homeless people in the city, which is pretty, I mean, 0 is the best, but 20 is not a high number, you know, right. So, but I think the issue of concern is over time, we're going to see an influx of more people who are unhoused as the city grows. It's growing rapidly. We're going to see a lot of changes, so we have to get in front of this. But I do think I invite the new councilwoman to maybe attend a meeting with the Terrell Action Committee, because there's a lot of good work going on. It's kind of amongst the faith-based communities, and I would love to see, you know, a presentation from the TAC regarding sort of what services can be provided, you know, at some point at one of our future meetings. But lastly, in the ordinance itself, you know, you indicate that you know, there's no teeth, or we don't have anything we can do currently yet. But I would like to see some part of the ordinance indicate how these folks are going to get plugged into the services as well. I'd like it to not just be punitive, to sort of give us some kind of direction potentially. Like if I'm a law enforcement officer, how do I handle these circumstances? Maybe there's you know, some sort of mental health or drug related. I know in Dallas, for example, we have a program called Right Care, and if we're dealing with someone who's homeless, you have a drug and alcohol counselor or a social worker that's deployed with an officer, and they kind of, to make sure that they're getting plugged into services, they're not being treated in a way that's disrespectful. It's just a delicate matter, obviously. But I understand the need for this, and I think we just need to kind of maybe massage the ordinance a bit and figure out what the right fit is. It's a pretty delicate balancing act. Sure. But thank you.
You know, I do want to stress that the first option is to plug people into services. That's the first option. We have a good relationship with the North Texas Behavioral, long acronym that I can't remember all the words. And so we have direct contact we've had 2 training sessions with those 2 groups. And so the first option, obviously, is to plug somebody into a service. This is a rare example when someone refuses services, or when they become combative, or when they won't cooperate with general direction. You know, my policy has always been ask you, tell you, and make you. And I've passed that on to the members of my staff, and they understand my philosophy on that. Arrest is not always the best answer. If you can plug somebody into a service, that's your best option. Sometimes that doesn't work, and we do need something in the toolbox, on the bat belt, so to speak, to give us the empowerment when you encounter those kinds of situations. Not necessarily the first option. Sid, I encourage you to read through the entire ordinance. In both of these, there's very clear instructions on what the officer needs to do first. It's not walk up and effect an arrest. That's really ineffective in the onset of that situation, because you don't know what's going on. It's with any kind of a case that you encounter, you're going to have to do your due diligence to investigate and find out a little bit more about the circumstances before it generates an arrest.
Chief, and I want to speak directly to the policy that's before us and the intent. The policy that we're talking about in this item, which is related to unauthorized placement of temporary shelter. So we're looking at like a tent or a blanket being in a public space. Is this a policy? Did we borrow this policy from another city? Were there specific cities that we looked at? Where does the policy come from? Like a national standard? Where did we
This is very near, word for word, the Dallas policy. I know that Greg did some work on it to add a few things that we felt were important to give us a little bit of leadway, so to speak, about without going directly to enforcement. But this is very close. Both of these ordinances very closely resemble the ordinance that Dallas has currently today.
And now I'm wondering what other I'll call them partner policies, maybe the city of Dallas or other cities have in place, because of what I'm hearing from my fellow council members, and I'm also in agreement, is that while we appreciate your ongoing efforts already and planned efforts on how to mitigate concerns that may arise with homes that are placed in public spaces, we don't see the language in here. We see that there's warnings, but what is a warning really? I mean, is it, a verbal warning? Sounds like we would like to see some language of, and I'm wondering if to legal, is this the best place to put a policy in, or create a additional policy that then we can also have reflected within each of these policies to state what the steps would be from our police department, from our fire department, in like the agencies that we would collaborate but not limited to. That's what I would like to see, whether it's integrating it into this and the next policy, or creating a separate policy. I also agree that while we don't want to get to the fine, it is punitive. I'd love to see what other cities are doing in lieu of a fine, because I imagine most individuals, won't have probably even $50, $100 to be able to pay the fine. So what could we do in lieu of to, if they become, combative, if they're not complacent, because the last thing I would want for an individual is to be in a place where they could be run over, right? You could have a vehicle that just loses track, or they're in an area that it would be unsafe to them. But how do you get them to a safe place? And if there's, I think there's room in the policy to be able to outline exactly what you said earlier with reaching out to the mental health facility. Maybe it's a matter of, I hear arrest isn't the best option, but maybe it's an option, collaborating with those agencies within, or nonprofits, organizations within the county, but then also outside of the county, because we have limited resources at this time. I think what I'm hearing from the rest of the council as well is we would like to see that language included in the policy as well.
So let me see if I can clear something up for the council, maybe that the fine, you would need to go to municipal court. And really, in municipal court, that's all you can do is fine an individual, right?
That's correct.
So that's the last step for someone. And again, if we have a problem with the placement of your shelter or a tent or something like that, and you're just not complying, is that the city's fault or the police department's fault? It's the individual's fault. And I'll share with you that my thoughts aren't just the mayor as the city of Terrell. I've talked to other mayors from throughout the county. This isn't something unique to Terrell, and how they handle things and do things are all different, but I've talked to several of them who use an organization that's called City Square, and they've been very pleased with the results of this organization. And I'm not exactly sure how it works or how they implement it, if it's their police department that directs these individuals to this group. But we'll continue our discussions as we move forward. But if you don't have something that has a little bit of teeth, you're never going to be able to address the problem. It'll continue to be there. Go ahead, Greg. Did you have something?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of points, and I totally agree with what the mayor is saying, and I also very much agree with the desires and statements from our council members. And if you'll look at the ordinance itself, we put provisions in there that do address some of the things that I know the council lady here talked about. If you read the ordinance, it gives alternatives before taking any enforcement action, that they try to get the person to either accept services or be able to give them other alternatives to where they are, to be being on public property. And it's only as an absolute last resort that they ever do get into any kind of a punitive arrest situation. And another point too, and building on what the mayor said, it's true that the only thing a municipal court can do is impose a fine. Now, just because the maximum fine is $500 doesn't mean that you have that every time it comes up it's going to be $500. Our municipal judge, that is nothing more than a maximum that is imposed on him. He can't go any more than that. If he wanted to, he could go for $1 or whatever. But so that's just because you see that, that's simply a maximum that's imposed on the judge and on the court. Lastly, I think if you'll take a look at some of our Texas laws, there are Texas statutes, state law, that very closely mirror what we're talking about here. So really, what we're doing here is over and above what the state has already mandated under state statutes as far as camping and so forth is concerned. And we took that into account when we wrote this ordinance, but we did try to put additional provisions in there to try to help the individuals out that won't help. Obviously, there's going to be some that don't. But for those that do, I think this ordinance, if you'll look at carefully, especially the sections E of that ordinance, where it talks about that before taking any enforcement action under the section, a police officer shall, try to help the offender to find other alternatives. So I think that's important to point out. And as far as, how you do it, I think the more discretion we can have for an officer and for a community to do that, the better. I don't want to tie anyone to an ordinance that they have to do it a certain way or with a certain group. I think it's important that they get help wherever we can best find it. And that's the way we tried to tailor this ordinance. Chief, did I?
No, that's absolutely correct.
And again, I'll just point out what Greg had said. It's a fine not to exceed 500. So it could be $25, your first offense. That's up to the judge. Really, we just want compliance. So.
Could the ordinance specifically give first offense this amount, second offense this amount?
I don't know.
All it does is imposes a maximum, Councilman.
It can't do anything more specific? It can only.
It can be,
impose
but the way we try to tailor our ordinances is to give the municipal judge the flexibility to do what he thinks is best. It may be, it could be $1. I mean, if he wanted it to be. That's merely a maximum that's imposed.
Yeah, and the other little point that I would provide for you is there is a nuance there between an ordinance that we pass and the rules that are in the ordinance and the more detailed fine-grained world of what are our standard operating procedures issued by the police chief. Right. So you really have two different documents. One gets approved by council, and one is something that's a signature authority of your police chief. whenever we have a standard operating procedure, it's always more detailed, and it always does more to go along the lines of, hey, guys, I'm going to update this policy now because now the phone numbers for the contact people at these social service entities have changed, right? So we update those more often, and they're not codified for a reason that they have to change, right? And so if we get informed that a new volunteer group came up and they're going to start helping in such and such way, then the chief can add that to a standard operating procedure. You want more flexibility and more ability to change your standard operating procedures because that's the more fine-grained way that the police chief is directing his staff about how to work in this world. So you're seeing one layer of detail. There's a separate layer of detail below that that is the operating world about how any policy or any ordinance gets implemented. So again, it's part of the puzzle that you see when you're looking at the ordinance, and I think that again, I'll mirror the same thing several of y'all have said.
Yeah,
Homelessness is a complex problem. This is just one part of one element, and just because you have a tool in your toolkit doesn't mean you use it very often. So I'll leave it at that. And again, it will be some time before this would not be able to come back to council in any case until June. So there's plenty of time for us to work and chat with our different groups that are in the audience tonight about that topic.
Yeah, so before, sometime before June when it comes back, I would ask the council, since the most controversial part of it is the fine up to $500. If you have an amount that you're comfortable with, and maybe it's 300, maybe it's 250, maybe one of you want 50, and I think we could just average them out and see where we are and see if everybody can agree to that. Okay? Thank you, Chief. Next item on the agenda is 6.2.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we bring to you tonight for discussion only ordinance number 3048, an ordinance of the City of Terrell, Kaufman County, Texas, amending Chapter 8, Offenses and Nuisances by adding Section 8-22, sleeping in a public place, providing a penalty, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
All right. Again, this will be handled by our interim police chief, Arlie Sampson.
I really don't have anything to add specifically to this. The ordinances are somewhat paired in their nature. This is, once again, is going to be a very rarely enforced type scenario. It's not every day that we even encounter someone sleeping on the street in Terrell. We're blessed to have that as not a problem. I just want to continue to stress the philosophy of the leadership dictates the mechanism and mannerisms for which the police create the enforcement. So if I'm doing my job correctly, what that means is that the people that are in the next lower level of command and the next lower level of command are sending the same message to the bottom troop of this is how Arlie wants people to be treated. So if the concern is that it will be over-enforced or abused, then maybe we need to consider, do you trust the guy that you've put in charge? Because I assure you that's the philosophy that I present, and that is the training and the guidance that I present. So I just want to make sure that everybody's clear on that this is not going to be a fist-down enforcement in either of these type of ordinances. This will be an opportunity for us to contact an individual for a violation, to determine what services apply, plug those persons into those services if they are willing and able, and there's a service that fits. And as a last resort, we might be forced to take the criminal action of enforcement for either of these ordinances.
Any comments on this ordinance, 3048? Yes.
I have a, Chief, I know you're not heavy-handed. I know that. I think without taking up too much time with the council, you and I can sit down and we can talk about
Sure.
all of that. But I do not believe you're heavy-handed. I know you don't have enough people to do this extra thing. And I know your officers have heart. I've seen them in action. I also am going to be on the record to say, if we don't take care of this issue now, it will balloon. That is a given.
Yes, ma'am.
But right now, the one thing you need to know among the homeless population, if you travel through the country, Texas has nipped it in the bud, but it's still budding. But I know your officers have heart because it comes from you.
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll talk about, well, how can we fix it? That's just what we're talking about. How can we fix it before it blows up?
Mm-hmm.
But thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anyone else? And again, I agree 100% with Ms. Anderson. Renee, what would you like for the mayor and the council to refer you?
Donna Renee.
Donna Renee? Okay, that's what we'll do. Councilwoman Donna Renee, look, fortunately for us, we don't have the issue, but that is out of control, right? It's something that can be controlled right now. So we would be negligent to our residents if we didn't try to put policies in place to address this now that it isn't a problem. Because I can promise you, if we had a problem, this room would be full. What are y'all going to do about it?
Just the last thing I want to reiterate
Yep.
real quickly. Just for me, it's services before punitive, all right?
Correct.
Because I feel like I just want to consider if tomorrow I lost my home, I'm on the street, somebody comes by and says, you can't sleep here, what happens next? You can't sleep here, you can't sleep there, then what happens to me then? See what I'm saying? So I want to understand that, and I'll support an ordinance that sort of addresses what the positive outcome would be. And I know that that's kind of hard to include in an ordinance in the wording there. It's kind of the punitive nature of it. But I would like to kind of have that more fleshed out so that we understand what, as it stands, it's just leave, basically. We need to have an understanding of what happens to someone when they're told they can't sleep anywhere. Where do they go? Yeah.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Chief. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 6.3, discuss memorandum of understanding between the Terrell Police Department and Texas A&M University Commerce. This is going to be Interim Police Chief Arlie Sampson.
On a happier and lighter note, this is an agreement that we recommend that we enter into with Texas A&M Commerce. That is my alma mater. I am pleased to say that they have developed a program that is built specifically for people just like me. 2020, I found myself in a position where I wanted to promote. And I couldn't, because the next position in the rank authority was deputy chief. And the ordinance under the city policy requires that the deputy chief have the same qualification sets as the chief of police because he stands in his absence. I had about 58, 60 hours of college. Started college at Abilene Christian University, transferred to East Texas State University then, and then I got the job here, and then I rose through the ranks on my own merit and on testing. Education was not a factor in any of those levels of command. But to achieve the next level, you had to have a degree. It was coincidental. I did not know Jimmy Womack at all. Jimmy made a phone call. He happened to call me because I was the administrative captain in that division, so I handled those types of affairs. Said he had a presentation about a new program that A&M was starting. He said it was developed for people that were busy, that were members that had a few college hours here and there, and they would be self-paced and a great program. And he presented that to myself and the other two captains and the chief of police at the time. We all saw value and merit in the program. Two of us signed up right away, and 14 months later, I had my college degree. Since that time, the second captain has signed up for the program. Detective Welch has signed up for the program. Sergeant White and his spouse have signed up for the program. Sergeant Brock has signed up for the program. Investigator Yates has signed up for the program. Detective Boyd's spouse has signed up for the program. Terrell ISD Jerry Balladares graduated with his bachelor's degree this month, and one of his officers, Officer Loans, also graduated. And I'm pleased to say that Tiffany Key will be graduating this month. So it is effective. It is cost-effective, it is self-paced, and it is built and specifically designed to help police officers get their education. This is something that I just want to put on the table for y'all, that it absolutely changed the educational dynamic of the police department. Very few people had put any value at all in education in our department. There was, I think, 2 that had college degrees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 that are in the process right now, and this is not limited only to this program. This is merely a preferred partnership that we would have with Texas A&M because of the cost and the setup and the process that they have involved. Anybody can still go get their education anywhere they want to, and God bless the city of Terrell, it's 100% reimbursement. So I think this is a topic that I think that you should certainly consider. It doesn't limit anybody. It only adds benefit and gives them an avenue that we can already have a preferred partnership and give them a reference and give them a direction to go. I can plug them in with Jimmy with a phone call. So any discussion on that?
Cost to the city is?
0.
No cost.
The cost has no effect on the city. There's nothing other than responsibilities on behalf of the city to make a contact available. That's Jimmy, and some of that's into the contract verbiage. There's discounted rates for public safety. For example, it's $1,000 per semester, and it's a $300 discount for public safety. The regular rate would apply to other city employees, but once again, the city is reimbursing that at 100%. So there is absolutely no loss to the city and all gain to the employee.
What to my point is, I don't know why we wouldn't be supportive of our police officers getting the education that they need. Gives them confidence in who they are and what they are, and we want quality officers out on our streets. So again, I don't know why we wouldn't want to be supportive of this moving forward, but the floor is yours, Councilman.
It also builds depth in the organization. To use my own example, I wouldn't have had to go back to school if I'd had an opportunity like this earlier on. We will have staff members that will have their degree completed within the next 1.5 years. 2 years, because this is a self-paced course. You can cram as many courses as you possibly can in that 7-week semester. One of my semesters, I took 9 courses in a 7-week semester. So it's designed specifically geared for people just like us that are already busy, need to complete the education, but just can't find the time and don't have the money.
Right.
Chief, I'm going to be concise here, and I agree our citizens will benefit from our police officers and from staff as well, the rest of staff, to continue to receive a higher education and then help promote from within. But I'm still a little confused on because I heard you say there is not a cost, but then I heard you say that there is a $1,000 cost with the discount. What my main question is, do we expect the funds that we have allocated for tuition reimbursement for that continuing education to be sufficient for all of those that have voiced interest, have signed up, or do we expect to see a recommendation in the future to increase that dollar amount?
The current reimbursement rate is 100% for job-related as it relates to the city policy. So the only cost to the city is for those that participate, and then the city reimburses that. To enter into the agreement with Texas A&M, there's no cost or any responsibility on behalf of the city other than making the contact available. So sure, if somebody does pursue the degree, in my scenario again, it was half reimbursement when I did it. So I paid $700 because I paid the discounted rate. When I got my B, because you have to get Bs, there's no such thing as a C in this particular accelerated course. When I got my B, then the city reimbursed me that amount of money. So the employee has some teeth in the game. They have to put the money up front. They have to secure the grade before they get reimbursed by the city. But that's all part of the city handbook in our reimbursement policy. Very
What Charlie's
liberal policy.
referring to is there's not an added cost. We have an existing
Correct.
program. Our existing program is fully funded. We have an adequate dollar amount that we budget each year for that. I haven't seen a need to come back to council and say, hey, we need a little bit more. Obviously, we monitor that. One of the ways that we save money in that is that we do have the employee vet through with the financial aid office. Are they actually eligible for a grant or a scholarship or something like that? So we do grants and scholarships first, and that's an important way for us to save money. We'll keep doing that here. And of course, just being able to get somebody a class at a discounted rate, well, that's just a money savings. But it is an existing line item, and I do expect that we'll keep using that existing line item.
Charlie, I would say this is a slam dunk. I would like to ask, who initially pursued this agreement with Texas A&M?
Jimmy Womack was the director. Let's see, I wrote this official title down. The College of Innovation and Design at A&M Commerce.
Okay.
He was a cold contact to me, just randomly picked up the phone calling agencies, got connected with the right guy, and that's how I became involved in the program. Initially, myself and Captain Buellen signed up. Captain Buellen chose a different route. I stayed with this route, and 14 months later, had my college degree.
That's great. It's a great program. Thank you, Arlie.
I'm for it.
All right. All right, so this will come back to the council at our next
June.
meeting.
This will be another June meeting.
All right, sounds good. All right, next item on the agenda is good news report. Boy, do we need some good news report. Come on up here. This is our Public Information Officer, Allison Walker.
Talk about some good news. I couldn't resist doing that. Okay. Let's see. Oh, wrong way. All right. The first item tonight is a new mentoring program that the city is partnering with TISD to do. It's to help the school district improve their attendance among the students. The ISD is seeking 25 to 35 city volunteers that would go once a month and do face-to-face mentoring with students and/or parents. Glenn Caldwell is going to be the lead on this project, and this is Municipal Court Judge Mike Smith and his staff, and they have volunteered to be the first of our city staff that will take part with this. So there will be some training, I believe, over the summer, Glenn. And so anybody that's interested in that can contact Glenn, and he can help set that up. Next, this was the National Crime Victims' Rights Luncheon, May 1st at the Kaufman County DA's office. And Jason Tidwell, of our Criminal Investigations Lieutenant, was honored for his work. I understand from Chief Sansom that this was a surprise, and so here he is with Mayor Carmona and his captain. The next picture is from the National Day of Prayer Luncheon, and there's Mayor Carmona along with members of the school board and the Ministerial Alliance and the Ministers Union, and then our superintendent. This is some of the recent graduates from our ESL class that's put on by the Wings course from the Halsey Public Library. And as I believe she was here last council meeting, and if you're following what she does, it's an incredible program, and we have lots and lots of graduates from that. This is a picture from our first live music downtown. It was live music and food trucks at the Lyric. This was on May the 2nd as well, and I wish I had a different picture because there was a point during the evening where the lines were actually out the door and there were no seats in the house, but that's a good problem to have. They will be there again this Thursday night downtown at the music shop, but because that venue is a little smaller, they're going to set up outside. So if you don't have plans Thursday night, come downtown and take part in that. Here's a couple of pictures from the Taco Festival. You can see some of our staff there. And I hated that I didn't get Omira and Dora because they were at the Spin the Wheel, which is the popular prize game. But you can see Tortilla Terrell over there with the mayor, and I believe this is their third year to win that award. So there's the a cappella choir from Southwestern Christian College. This was something that was done kind of impromptu, but they had a pretty good crowd down there for that as well. Here is a picture from the North Spur groundbreaking on May the 6th. You can see some of our EDC staff and board along with the Hines developers and Mayor Carmona there in the center. Speaking of graduates, this is Erin Herndon, who works for the library. She is the administrative assistant for Becca Anderson, and before that, she was the administrative assistant for Becky Sullivan. But she just graduated with her master's from SMU, and that was a free program that SMU did. So she was very fortunate to get in on that program, so she was very excited that she will continue to work at the library, but she also is part of the music staff for several local congregations. And she was the first person ever from SMU to get her focus, her concentration was on keyboards. Here's a picture of Mayor and Grady Simpson at the SWCC graduation, which was on Saturday. And so they had 37 graduates in 3 different degree programs. And if y'all remember, they're now offering a bachelor's degree, so they actually had a bachelor's candidate there as well. And it was packed. Okay, this is National Police Week, and we did the police a favor tonight. Mike was trying to get me to give them cookies, and I was like, no, because Arlie told me earlier today that they have so much food. So that's why we gave the cookies to the basketball player. That's right. We don't need them to have an exercise program. So anyway, that's why the tall, skinny basketball players got the cookies. So, all right. And then this is the Terrell Fire Department that will be offering on Saturday, May 25th, some CPR and first aid training. And if y'all are interested in that, the email's at the bottom as well as a phone number to take part in that. And last but not least, Association of Breezy Hill Park will again sponsor their Juneteenth festivities. This year they are expanding to 3 days, so they will be out there June 15th and 16th as well as June the 19th. Typically, the mayor will be out there on the 19th, maybe the other days as well, but on the 19th at 4 p.m. is when the official program will kick off with a proclamation and some recognition of local individuals. And the last thing I have is just an announcement that if anyone is around on Sunday morning bright and early and you're not at church, please come out to the Brookshire's parking lot for the annual Run for the Wall event, where the motorcycle riders come through Terrell on their way to Washington, D.C., and there will probably be about 400 of them. They're there for about 20 minutes. It's real brief, but it's really interesting and fun to watch. So come on out. Thank you.
All right.
Anybody have any questions?
No, I want to make a comment, though, for the council. If you weren't able to attend the Taco Festival, right? And I don't know if this is Glenn or whomever, but Caldwell, I want to compliment our staff on their shirts, or uniforms that they were wearing, right? They had the city logo on them, but they had the reflective yellow on it as well. And it looked really sharp to see all of our staff dressed the same and the city logo. You could identify them from a distance, but very impressed with that. And man, I wouldn't mind having one of those shirts, you know. They look.
Oh, that's where that was going.
No, I'm teasing, but really, you know what? I've been to a lot of festivals, and I've seen other mayors and talked to them about, their workers. I was very proud of our staff that day. I mean, professional all the way. So thank you, and the police officers that were there, everybody that was there, the firemen, everybody, they did a really good job. Do you might have any questions or comment?
One quick thing I wanted to mention is I'm really glad to see us getting involved in the TISD truancy diversion programs. That's one that I know that Ms. Warnock and I have discussed a couple of times, and then Mike, I think you've been taking the lead on having discussions with her as well, right? Is this going to include that truancy court idea that she's kind of been
this is
toward?
came out of a meeting between myself and Georgianne Warnock where we were talking about truancy court, and as was discussed with her, they really prefer the city not to do a truancy court that's outside of what currently exists. So there's two things that currently exist. I know you know some of this, but to sort of answer for the whole group here, one part of it is if you are a minor, then the county prefers for the ISD to take you over to one of the justice of the peace over on the Forney side and go through that process to go through their truancy steps. If you're a adult and happen to still be at the tail end of your schooling, then your truancy court goes through our municipal court. So that we need to keep doing. We need to keep supporting. We'll keep doing those things. We'll keep supporting those things. The need seemed more to be truancy diversion because the state law on charging somebody with truancy is very complicated, really bogs you down in red tape. So better to put our efforts into truancy diversion. So the attendance mentoring program is truancy diversion, and that's where the ISD requested we put our efforts. And so I couldn't think of anybody better than Glenn to head that up for us. And so Glenn, Mike Smith, and some of the other team, I bet you that by the time we have this thing fully up and running, we'll fill those 25 to 35 volunteers with city staff, because that's the heart of a lot of city employees around here. And I think that it's really all possible because of the policy council put in place last year to provide paid time off for city employees volunteering in ISD programs. I think that's going to make all the difference. So it's a real good win-win for us.
Is this something that the mayor and the council can participate in? Right? Yeah, so.
Absolutely. If that's a great note, if you have interest in getting involved with the attendance mentoring program, basically the idea is you do some meetings with the parents, guardians, and the young person who might be having the problem. You discuss enough with them, do some listening with them, do some counseling with them, have a method by which you're following up on a regular basis, and help them really avoid the truancy court in the first place. And that's where everybody wants to get us to. It's a nationwide trend. It's nothing special about our school district. It's a nationwide trend that post-COVID attendance is down, and the school district really just has a great heart to want to get on top of that. So I really appreciate you flagging this issue and waving your hands and saying, hey, let's get on top of this. Really means a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, so
Thank you,
put the
Mike.
mayor on that list, all right?
I have a challenge for
Mentioned as well.
city staff, as long as it doesn't complicate our council meetings. But I would love to see us recognize groups, individuals from like the arts. So maybe we asked Ms. Hurd, I believe, to start off our meeting with a little bit of her piano skills. But I know there's like the a cappella group that was at the lyric group. But as we have opportunities throughout the year, the next couple of years, to be able to recognize groups or individuals that represent the arts and music groups.
Yeah, I agree with you, Councilwoman. At the graduation, the a cappella group performed. They're outstanding. I know we've tried in the past to have them participate in our holiday festivities at the tree lighting ceremony. Let's give them enough time to where they're able to schedule that, because I think it's important for our community to see them out there.
Happy to work on it. That's
All
a
right.
great idea.
Good. Our next item on the agenda is item 7.1, discuss and consider update to the FY24, FY25, FY26 strategic plan. This is going to be handled by our senior policy analyst, Amira Mata.
Mayor and council, we have a voting item for you tonight. So the strategic plan update, you guys have seen this PowerPoint. We are at the voting stage. We've taken what you guys have said over the past couple of weeks, got some feedback, and what you have in your packet is a final version, let me get there, I'm so sorry. A final version that is no longer red line of that strategic plan update. Hopefully you've had some time to kind of look through here. We did put the new vision statement as lead the way. Mr. Sims and I discussed this, and we felt that this is kind of what the feedback that we got from the last council meeting that was moving forward. The new staff mission is in there, as well as all of the other items that you guys have seen before. All of the updated individual district goals and visions are in there as well. And then you will see in our updated version, you all have that right column of updates going throughout the document as we progress.
So, Mayor, if you will, I'm going to ask Amira to go to the vision statement, and let's ask two questions of council, okay? One is, it seemed like we had very good support for everything in the document, except that we really weren't quite happy with the vision statement the last time that we talked. This is yet again a slightly different version, and I would say you've got sort of two options here. One option is you can go with something like this or similar, just say it right out loud tonight, say, hey, this is great, let's go for it, or let's change this phrase to be such and such. Okay, great, that's acceptable. The other version is to say, hey, I tell you what, instead of embracing this fully tonight, you say, you know what, let's adopt this thing, but let's direct staff instead to say, you know what, leave that page out, don't establish a new vision statement, leave the rest of it alone, and direct staff to go work with JBJ Management, because we did talk to JBJ Management a little bit. They'd be happy to help us out with working on this topic a little bit. They're obviously very familiar with the city. That's Ian Dow and some of the other team that you guys have seen from time to time. So that's one question. One question is, are we close enough to Terrell America Lead the Way, being the vision statement, with this set of spelling that out? That we can land that tonight, or is council more comfortable saying, you know what, I'd rather take a pause, get JBJ to look at it, come back a little while later with some strategies? So that's question number one for council. Question number two for council is, most of this document, 99% of this document, was completed prior to swearing in a new council person. So it does have the prior person in that council seat's contributions on the page. Just flip one or two pages to just like where the mayor's one is, if you would. Can you flip?
Well, can you stop at the mayor's real quick? So I'm sorry, but we have found an assistant city manager. I didn't want.
Oh yeah,
So
right,
we
right,
can
yeah,
redline
yeah, yeah.
that one. Everything
Okay,
else is right,
we'll
but-
tweak that. So just can you pop over there real quick?
I can't, sorry.
Okay.
Backwards?
All right. Just
Nope, by the way. Oh, here we go.
I'm trying to make sure that we're all looking at the mayor and council, the individual pages, so we know what we're talking about. Okay, stop right there. Okay, so all of the elected officials have a page that looks like this, which is, other than like maybe Allison or Myra helped with grammar, these are just verbatim stuff from each elected official. These are great for staff, right? Because we can go look at it, we can compare, we can know what did the mayor say, what did this elected official say, what did the other elected officials say. This is a great exercise for us. So here's my question. Would you prefer to vote to postpone tonight so that we can collect our comments and develop a page like that with your newly sworn in person, or not? So two questions, one related to how to proceed on vision statement. Number two, how to proceed on vision and goal statement from the council district that just changed. So I'll leave it with those two questions. Mayor, I'll hand it to you.
Right, so on the JBJ, what kind of cost would we incur if we hired outside firm?
They're just willing to do it on an hourly basis, so you're going to talk about not a ton of money. Those are going to be in the thousands, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so I think anytime you have a professional look at something, I don't know how you go wrong there, but I'm open to any suggestion.
I like the idea of having them look it over and make sure it's kind of pointing the right direction, but also want to get our new council members, feedback into the strategic plan.
I have read what you produced, and I have read what my predecessor has written, and most of these items are things that I agree with. I would not necessarily word them differently. I like that number one is number one. Extend drainage pipes is, I like what is there, especially the part about the history, keep these history elements alive. But I did read it all. If I have questions, I would say I would prefer to ask the questions when you have whatever meetings we have to go through this.
All right.
But I've read the document. You put a lot of work into it. But I am of the ilk that we should probably proceed. My only concern was, well, what did District 2 say? And so I've read it, and I don't disagree with it.
Okay, yeah, so
Okay.
we're in good shape there.
Yeah, and so I was going to defer to Ms. Donna Renee, and what her position was on moving forward with the District 2 statement and vision goals, or postponing. So it sounds like we can vote tonight, and I would be in favor of having JBJ management take in, the vision and goals from mayor and council, the vision that city staff have laid out for city staff, and allowing them to review this plan. And they've also been out in the community talking to various community members when they knocked on those doors and had public meetings. So I feel like they have a good sense of who we are, and would appreciate a little bit more of expertise from them for something that will kind of mark who we are for the next couple of years.
Okay, all right, so is there a motion?
Well, you do need to change the fact that we do have an assistant city manager.
Yes. Yeah, so red line that one. That's the only one, everything else is good.
So,
I would still
Councilman, you go
prefer
first.
that, personally, that we, before motioning to approve the strategic plan, to have the review done by JBJ before we approve it.
That's exactly the topic I was going to address.
Yeah.
Remember, you don't have to put your new vision statement into this document. So if what you're saying is, we like it as it is, but we're not ready to make a decision yet on the vision statement because we prefer to get input from JBJ, then my suggestion would be, your motion would be approve with an exclusion of the vision statement and with the edit on the mayor's section as noted. And that's all we need. We can take care of the rest of it from there. Yeah, we'll just come back and have you vote on a new vision statement at a separate meeting with just a resolution that says we now adopt this new vision
I
statement.
really like the vision statement. I mean, I think it's really catchy. I think it's,
Right.
whoever
I have
worked
a
on that
question.
did a tremendous job.
Is this the lead the way vision statement?
Yes, that's correct, that's correct.
But just to clarify, that was Phil Robinson that is voicing support for the vision he created.
Somebody did some really quality work on that one, I just gotta say.
The vision statements are hard, are challenging at best. I don't have a problem with the vision statement. It's just a vision, and it evolves as we grow. Good work for the staff that put all this together. And really, my only thing would be to, under the mayor, strike number one. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot for Terrell to grow. This is a very effective vision statement. So I changed the font.
That's fair.
We can do that, yeah.
Well, wait, so what would be our charge of JBJ if it's not the vision statement? It's the,
I think the only, I'll say it to you this way. I would respectfully say, for the stuff that's staff directive stuff, we're very content with the staff directed stuff. That's inward looking. You wouldn't normally get a consultant to come inside for that. To me, all you would do, and again, this is y'all's choice, right? If you would like, you would have JBJ evaluate this, see if they want to tweak this, maybe pitch you another couple of ideas related to this, and then you just take your time, and sometime this summer you say, you know what, we're either going to go with Lead the Way with this exact detail of Lead the Way, or we're going to take some different idea from JBJ. That's just completely council's discretion.
I think, I don't want to pay anybody any more money.
And I think if we're all happy with the vision statement, I don't think we need their input on the vision statement per se. I was more considering if there are any other elements regarding our direction that might be benefited by their eyes, taking a look at it. But if that's not something that we're...
well, you got to remember, so we were going to use this in all of our promo stuff, right? We were going to use all of this in all of our promo stuff. So if y'all are comfortable with Lead the Way on pins and on our logos for the shirts, this was a revamping of what we have currently, right? Still Terrell America, but
This is a gigantic step up from the 2017 vision
The
statement.
old vision statement would not have fit on a T-shirt.
No, it was,
well, not the vision statement. I'm just saying the logo
Yeah.
part where it says "Lead the Way," right? And is that to the councilwoman's point? Is that the right font? I don't know.
That's a separate question. Whenever we change this into marketing materials, we would be working with Allison, we'd be working with JBJ. That's a whole separate thing.
Okay,
The
all
question
right.
isn't how does it look? We'll get all the good advice on that, and when it's ready to make it look good, rah-rah, that's what we'll do.
Okay.
This is just the content question of are the words good?
I think everybody's good with it.
I would still prefer to have JBJ management take a look at it. So again, it paints the picture, the vision of who we want to be. I feel like, with all due respect, Phil, Councilman Robinson,
Respect taken.
the lead the way sounds like internal, like we like if you have a business or a city, like it's an internal goal to be able to like lead the way, right? But as I think about our community members and those that are looking for their next new home, potentially in the city of Terrell, does Lead the Way really describe, what type of environment we want to share that we are when you are living in the city of Terrell? I don't feel like that describes it. I feel like it's more of like a business type of vision or part of the logo. So I would really like to have something that shares the true identity of who we are and what type of home, what type of experience, quality of life you can have in the city of Terrell.
Yeah, Mike and I were at a meeting earlier today with some other Kaufman County municipalities and government folks, and there was one city who had, what was it again? Yeah, City Without Limits was what they had come up with, right? And I'm pretty sure they had a company look at it to come up with that. It's
not as good.
City Without Limits. I know, but again, I'm good either way. I'm good either way, council. But if you want someone to look at it, it's not a lot of cost. It's not something to be concerned with on the cost side. It is more money, but it's not an exorbitant amount of money. And we get some professional eyes looking at it.
How much an hour is it?
Well, they're going to have more than one staff person, and their rates are very reasonable. So they're going to have people who are making not making, but right, paying the firm, right? That's going to be anywhere from 75. I don't think any of their hourly people have a resulting charge to us that's very much over 100. So, they would put 4 or 5 people who would workshop on it, who are familiar with this, who've done this for other folks, and give us feedback on it. So, and again, it's really just y'all's choice how you want to move forward.
I am in agreement with Councilman Mayrani that it needs to have some sort of sense of home.
So,
A sense of home. I like that.
So-
That this is our community.
so I'm guessing that JBJ would reach out to us and say, hey, what are your thoughts, right? And you're going to say sense of home. Phil may say something, the mayor may say something. I like the fact of leading the way, and then they'll put all that together and come back. Maybe it's the same thing, maybe it's a little tweak here or there.
I think the thinking around some of this was that we wanted to kind of reposition ourselves as being the leading community in the area for,
Yeah.
that you want to move to, that, if you want to start a business, or we're growing, we're the leading community in this area. I think that's the thinking. And it kind of puts us in a mindset of doing things in a way where we're the leader. We're going to set the standard, not follow someone else's lead, And then so we said, well, how can we drill that down? And then we kind of had each letter represent something in particular, so we do kind of address the welcoming everyone, distinctive neighborhoods, our authentic hometown values. It kind of, you start with just the statement, and then you get granular when you kind of explore it further. But I can kind of see how we could, approach it a few different ways.
All right. So, again, this is an action item. This is to consider. So do we want to do that and pull the vision statement or include it? And if we change it, we can just amend it, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a thing you're doing by either resolution later, or you're doing it by adopting this document. Either of those are just council votes, and by all means, you can change it. My comment is, you really want to leave your vision statement alone for a period of time so it can soak into the populace and get into your marketing material. So to me, vote on it when you're ready to vote on it, and be content that you're going to leave it alone for 5 or 6 years, because that's how you get currency and memory and all that sort of good stuff.
Okay. So
I say
table.
postpone it.
Yeah, postpone it. Is there a motion on item 7.1?
Motion.
Okay.
Motion to recommend approval of the City of Terrell Strategic Plan Update, accept the city vision statement to be drafted by JBJ Management, and remove number 1 item listed for the mayor's vision and goal.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mayor, all right. We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Mayor Pro Tem District 3, a second from Phil Robinson, District 5, to approve the update for FY 24, 25, and 26, the strategic plan, and pulling out the vision statement and then editing the mayor's number 1 goal. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.2, discuss and consider resolution number 2153, authorizing a consolidated rail infrastructure and safety improvements, Chrissy grant, program grant, and statement of local funding. Downtown Project Manager Raylan Smith will handle this.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. As we discussed last week, I was preparing y'all for the Paddock meeting, which occurred on Friday. And the Paddock Board did recommend their resolution bringing forward the information in regards to the Chrissy grant. We recognize the grant application. It does require a 20% local match. You have a resolution in your packet with the Paddock Board where they voted unanimously to approve this resolution. The wording in their resolution is to fund a portion of the local project funding as well as the project cost overrun. And so we bring this to you, City Council, to authorize use of Paddock funds. Obviously, these will continue to be updates to the Paddock and to City Council as we get information back from the grant.
Okay, we discussed this last week, so nothing's changed, right? And you presented it to the Paddock just as we were presented. They didn't make any changes, and now it's back to us. Again, resolution number 2152. Does anyone have any new questions for Raylan on this item?
What does the match mean? I did not, when I read it, I was not, there's a word on page, I think it's 124, where we're talking about a loan.
So the total grant that we're applying for is $15 million. And so to apply for this grant, part of us being construction or shovel-ready is a commitment for the local match of 20%. So this is a resolution where the Paddock is stating, whether that be in cash balance or through a TIFIA loan or other source of funding, that they will provide portion of that local match. So this is their commitment to go through the budget process this summer to make sure that they have allocated those funds.
And for point of,
Are going to work with Paddock to raise that 20%.
Yes.
Okay.
they have adequate funding ability for the 20%. The TIFIA loan is a great opportunity for us because it is a federally subsidized low-interest loan that we specially qualify for given our status. And they look at our census tracts and they look at, other features related to us in our county. We qualify for a special program that creates a 35-year loan period. There's reduced cost to us the first 5 years. You don't have to borrow it all at the same time, so it's establishing a line of credit essentially and allows you to draw it down as you need it. That saves us a lot of money on interest. And then the interest rate itself is a federally subsidized interest rate that's typically half of what a city would normally be able to borrow for. So that's an important element here. You want to think to yourself, what you're authorizing is, both of these things. You want to be thinking, okay, I'm okay with Paddock Board spending for local match. I'm okay borrowing money from TIFIA to keep the city's overall cost down and the interest rate low, and I'm okay with accepting the funds from the federal government for the CRISI grant itself, which of course is the big news here, right? Because this is our quiet zone grant, and getting our quiet zones in place has been a long-standing goal.
And, we would never be able to fund this 100%. So the fact that we're getting 80% of it, federal government, and then we're just coming up to 20 is a pretty good buy-in on that. In addition to all of the financing that's available for us.
Yeah, and it occurs to me I'd be remiss not to thank Kaufman County. The money we have spent thus far to do all of the planning, all of the engineering, all the federal approvals that we've been able to achieve thus far, all of that has been because the county bond program for 2019 provided, I'm going to say around $5 million worth of upfront funding. That's a hugely important thing for us. The fact that we will go through this entire process with over $20 million in overall cost to do quiet zone, and our Paddock Board only has to pick up a local match that is, this smaller amount, that's tremendous for our voters. That's tremendous for our taxpayers. Lots of cities have had to do these by, they got to pay for the whole thing themselves. We're not in a position to spend $20 million on this, but between the county support, Paddock support, and what will end up being 13 or 14 million from the TIFIA, from the CRISI grant, that's a huge success financially for us, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without. I'll even go back to Steve Rogers. We love Steve, and he was here tonight. Chris Knapp, Raylan, a lot of team members working on this, and a lot of heavy lifting by Raylan here to get it across the goal line.
Okay. Is there a motion on 2153?
Motion to approve resolution number 2153.
Motion, is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion from Phil Robinson, District 5, a second from Donna Renee, District 2, to approve the resolution number 2153 as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.3, discuss and consider resolution number 2152, authorizing funding for downtown building renovation. This is going to be handled by our downtown project manager, Raylan Smith.
Again, Mayor, City Council, just bringing this back to you this week. This was an item and a resolution that was passed by the Paddock Board on Friday unanimously to approve a performance agreement for the Griffith Building Food Hall.
All right, council, we did review this document last Tuesday. Is there anything that's changed since then, Raylan?
The total amount has changed, but the funding mechanism remains the same.
Okay. But the Paddock Board did agree to it?
Unanimous.
Yeah, unanimous. All right, is there any questions for Raylan? Hearing none, is there a motion on resolution 2152?
Motion to approve resolution 2152 is presented.
Motion, is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion from a motion from Phil Robinson, District 5, a second from Donna Renee, District 2, to approve resolution 2152 as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.4, discuss and consider amendment number 1 to the Crossroads Parkway Extension Partnership, handled by City Manager Mike Sims.
So, Mayor and Council, just briefly, I'm going to ask Dawn to bring up the map associated with this by way of overview. This is an item that we've discussed a handful of times, and this is essentially moving some existing commitments of the City of Terrell from one agreement to another. We did a agreement called the Crossroads Parkway Extension Partnership back May 26th of 2020. It has some things in it that we committed to. We did our Hotel Event Center partnership back in October 10th of 2023. And with a combination of those, what we want to do is take some of the commitments we made in those and move them over into this new amendment. So I'll point at them on the map. Okay, so you've got orientation here. This is FM 148 going through here. This is Buc-ee's. This is Interstate 20. There's Film Alley. There's Hobby Lobby. There's Academy. Okay, we got the restaurants up over here in this area. And I'm driving along Interstate 20. So let's say I came from Dallas, right? I'm driving along. I exit Interstate 20. I get on 148. I drive north. And I'm going to turn left and go the Chick-fil-A direction. I'm not going to the Starbucks direction. I'm going to the Chick-fil-A direction. I drive down Crossroads Parkway, and the original agreement with Crossroads Extension Partnership was to extend from this point right here and get Crossroads going down this way to facilitate the development of the car dealerships and some additional retail here. We have a generic building here, so if you're looking, it's not labeled. We're keeping that private at this time. We've got a couple other private retailers that we're not announcing at this time, but we did want to show you the map about how it all works together. And so Crossroads Extension Agreement, which was signed in 2020, picks up from the drainage behind Hobby Lobby and goes basically straight west, parallel with Spur 557. So what is going on now? The second apartment complex is almost ready to start leasing. There's a very short little section of Independence Parkway here. There's a short little section of Independence Parkway up here. And we want to build Independence Parkway down through this area right here. And as this new apartment complex, the third one out there, goes under construction later this year, they have a requirement to actually build Independence Parkway from this point here and get it down to this driveway right here. Well, when we looked at that, we said, wait a minute here, wouldn't it be more cost effective to bid from here to here and bid from here to all the way down here all at the same time, and maybe save ourselves some construction costs by building more of Independence Parkway all at the same time, because that will be a more cost-effective manner for us to deliver the same infrastructure. Meanwhile, there's also a sewer line that needs to go from Independence Parkway and past the Hotel Event Center and gets down to American Way. And that also is an important part of the project. So of the three things that we are committed to, one, the wetlands crossing, which is an existing $500,000 commitment of the city of Terrell. Two, the water and sewer that go along this section of Independence Parkway here. That's an existing commitment we have that's $150,000. These two are capped commitments, right? So under the previous agreements, this was capped at $500,000 to cross the wetland. This was capped at $150,000 to go along this edge here. What's not capped is taking the sewer line from Independence, going down Sage Hill Parkway and getting to American Way. That's a very important element of this whole deal because anything that builds as retail up in this area right here, it needs to go down this edge of sewer line and come down over into this area right here where we have our Market Center lift station. So that's an uncapped but estimated at $500,000 project element. So because those are existing commitments of the City of Terrell already approved by City Council, we were including those in the vertical construction of the Hotel Event Center. In analyzing the pricing and how all of that will work together, staff recommendation is move it out of the Hotel Event Center agreement, move it over into a standalone amendment to the Crossroads Extension Partnership Agreement, and go ahead and get those paid for. The funding source for this will be two segregated funds that really aren't eligible for use on other things. So one of those is the Power Center. The Power Center is a geographic area where we receive county property tax dollars and combine those with some city property tax dollars strictly on new development within the Market Center area, the car dealership up here just off the page, that's the Ford and Dodge dealership area, and then this large area over here. The county decided to partner with us on that many years ago and provide 100% of the county maintenance operation property taxes, which we can then use to help pay for things like these roadways. So that's the funding source for this $500,000. That's the funding source for this $150,000. And then the Event Center Fund is a special fund where we have an agreement in place with our Economic Development Corporation related to the hotels over here and the future hotels over here in this area. And whenever we do that, we've created a system where we have funding available to cover that $500,000 expense. And again, that's a segregated fund that can only be used in this geographic area. So that's a lot to say, but what we're essentially trying to do is take advantage of good construction pricing and go ahead and get the road out there, because we know that that road can get constructed before the Christmas shopping season. And if you go out here, you're starting to see a little bit of congestion out here, we all know. Much better to go ahead and get this back circulation route down here where Independence can be a complete route all the way from Spur 557 to Sage Hill Parkway. That will help us with this rotation. Still plenty of other things to get built in that area, right? We got a Sage Hill to build, so it's not like we're done building things, but we feel like this is a good step, and we've embodied all of that in resolution number 2157. So, Mayor, that's a quick overview of that. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So there's no additional money, it's just dollars that we've already authorized, and we're just shifting from one area to another?
Yes.
And we're gonna cross the, not the floodplain, but that.
The wetland area.
Wetland area, right? So if we delay, council, I think that the construction costs are gonna be more. We're gonna get less for the same amount of money. And Mike's right. If you've got somebody in there that's working now, it's economy of scale that's going to allow us to maybe save some money on this project. The money that we're allocating is only able to be spent in this area,
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
right? So it's not like we're taking away from somewhere else. So you have any questions for Mike?
By reallocating this money, are we losing anything?
No, what I would say is the next thing we need to build are the things I just listed. I got to build Independence Parkway. And in the next couple of years, we'll start addressing Sage Hill. But it does me no good to build Sage Hill until I have independence. So this is just do it one step at a time and be methodical about it.
Anyone else? And we saw this, Donna Renee, I apologize, we had this presented to us last week.
But isn't this from the TERS, what we talked
Yes.
about?
Absolutely, and thank you. I neglected to
I'm-
mention
Oh, okay,
that.
so you're
There-
familiar with it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
right.
I
There
know
was
what
a,
it is.
the Power Center funding portion of this was approved unanimously yesterday by the Power Center Board of Directors and the TERS number 1 Board of Directors. So I neglected to mention it comes to you on unanimous recommendation of those two groups.
I apologize, I forgot that you were on there. Anyone else? Is there a motion on 7.4? Is that where we are, or 7.3?
It's 7.4.
7.4, yeah. Discuss and consider discuss and consider amendment number 1 to the Crossroads Parkway Extension Partnership.
Motion to approve item 7.4 as presented.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Mayor Pro Tem District 3, a second from Phil Robinson to District 5 to approve the amendment number 1 to the Crossroads Parkway Extension Partnership. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda is 7.5.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, item 7.5 is to discuss and consider city council recommendation for WRA Architects and Core Construction for Pet Adoption Center Task Order Number 2.
This will be handled by our downtown project manager, Raylan Smith.
Mayor, City Council, like we discussed last week, task order number 1 for the Pet Adoption Center has been completed. We have some concepts. I did show you in the presentation the areas that they recommend that we focus in on, which would be the areas for the kennels themselves. We do have some budget numbers that have come back based on the concept design. And in speaking with CORE and also WRA, they recommended moving forward with full design for the area that is shaded there in pink to get us on track with the Fire Station number 3 bidding. And so we could actually bid these two projects at the same time and utilize the same contractors in the same timeline. What that would do is that would take you into task order number 2, which is what you have tonight in your packet. The CMA, the construction manager agent task order, the $10,000 that is already allocated, that $10,000 was also the same amount that was allocated in task order 1. It is a flat $10,000 fee that will get us all the way through pre-construction. And your architectural fees for task order number 2 for WRA, these funds are made available through your CO 2023C line item.
All right, council, and we reviewed this last week as well. Some of these items, documents. What has changed is county pet facility is closed. The county has, right? Is that right, Mike?
Humane Society of North Texas will cancel their contract at the end of August.
Right.
Yeah.
So, again, for economies of scale for us, if we're able to combine these projects together, we get a better cost maybe?
Yes, construction cost for sure.
Yes. All right, does anybody have any questions?
So we are getting a break on construction costs by bundling these two projects together?
There's a possibility of that. If you are combining your HVAC and your electrical and your plumbing, especially if we can keep them on the same timeline, working in the area at the same time, there are sometimes some benefits to doing that.
Okay. I still have to reiterate that I am concerned. I do have concerns about spending $2.5 million to renovate an animal shelter that already exists. I expected that to come in much lower. Do we have any other bids on the project, or we've already committed to?
This is the architectural work and engineering work necessary to go get bids. So right now, we're just estimating.
Yeah, I know that's what we're doing today, but the overall budget for the project, it's going to cost us $2.5 million to build it entirely, right?
That's
the project budget.
just the construction estimate from the
Okay.
architect.
Okay.
But also keep in mind that a lot of the specialized items that are going into this building has everything to do with state code and the animals.
Okay.
So when you notice, if we ever move over to phase 2 and we're working with the offices and where we have the employees, there's next to no cost.
Yeah.
So the majority of the costs that you're going to see on this side, which is why they said, okay, focus in on the animal side first. Your kennels have to be built a certain way. You have to be able to drain the kennels a certain way. They have to have separate HVAC with special filtering. I learned way more than I ever wanted to know about pet
lot of the
adoption
regulatory
centers,
stuff
but
is why it's so expensive.
it is a very, very detailed process that the state puts on your contractors. Yeah.
That's why the county's closing theirs.
Yeah, and just a couple points of clarification. We need to be able to pass a state inspection on our animal shelter. That is something we are very much struggling to do at our current location, and it is not realistic for us to stay in our current location. So we went down this path knowing we were having regulatory problems. The other thing to note, I know council knows this, but it's important to kind of discuss it for citizens. Just because a facility was used for kennels in the past doesn't mean that it was subject to the same sort of state oversight and state licensing requirements. The inspection for the kennels is assuming that you wouldn't take a sick dog and a whole bunch of other issues. And so in this case, it is a dog health issue that they regulate very, very differently down in Austin. And we're just trying to obey that and hit the minimum of those levels. So I just want to get that out there if folks are listening. The other thing is just for the clarity of wait a minute here, what's happening in Kaufman related to their animal shelter? I'm going to speak probably more than I should on Kaufman County decision-making here. They went with the theory that an operator who operates multiple shelters would be terrific because it would help them adopt dogs out into the other locations of the multi-location operator. What they found was that because the operator's other locations are very urban and higher population density, that their rural facility became full of urban dogs, because that was the operating mechanism of the operator that they hired. They're simply canceling their contract with that operator. They intend to continue to operate the animal shelter as an animal shelter. They just will have a different operating strategy for it. And I think that that's actually good news for the county. So it's a difficulty, it's a problem. We will not ever be able to use their facility because they never built it to accommodate our city or Forney, and it barely meets the needs for the county. So just 2 points of a little public clarification there.
Okay. And this facility prioritizes Terrell,
Yes.
right? So another city trying to bring pets or whatever to us.
Our accommodations and the kennel numbers that we're trying to get are projections based on our population and our animal control.
Okay.
All right. And the 2.5 million is in the budget for us to spend on an animal shelter?
No, just the design and
Just the design.
getting the plans. We needed to do,
5 million, I'm sorry, Raylan. The 2.5 million is an estimate.
yes.
Okay.
And it is something, whenever those bids come back, it will be a decision for city council how we move forward with that construction.
Yeah, and maybe a clarification I should say is this is an eligible expense under Certificate of Obligation 2023C, which was our $27 million issue. There is a meeting planned for council coming up soon where we will have somewhat refined prices on Fire Station 3, Station 2, Animal Control Center, Apache Trail, Newton, going on down the line of all the things we'd like to shove into 2023 C as eligible spending under 2023C. Your major financial decisions, you're going to get another round of, okay, look at the whole budget all at once. But in order to try to get you in a good decisioning point of view, I really want to advance the architectural and engineering work on this, because the only way I have to save money on this, even if I only save a little on it, is to go ahead and get the architectural engineering on this to catch up to the architectural and engineering on Fire Station 3 and hope to save a little money that way. That's not presuming council will decide that. It's just doing our best to show you an opportunity for good pricing. And when you look at your overall budget, I assure you it will be a tough decision to look at everything that we need to spend out of that $27 million. But you'll have that chance coming up soon.
Raylan, this building, the project, once it's complete, how long do we expect for the building to be occupiable?
Any of the design work is set for a 20 to 30 year. So even the kennel counts, whenever you look at the phasing, the kennel counts in the pink area get you, I think, to a minimum of around 50, 55. When you look at the future phasing, you also have space available in the front and in the rear. So there's a lot of accommodations being made to additional kennel space and growth in that building.
Okay, so I heard you say it's about an average of 20 years that we expect for this building to have it.
We talked about population growth and, yeah, we
accommodate population growth and I'm thinking to, because, you know, I want to be conservative, right? And it sounds like we may have some, I'm hoping what I'm hearing from Mike is that we may have some funding that's available from the 2023 C bond. And I think about the current building that we're in that honestly, we should not even have staff members in. So to continue to have our staff members in that location is just unacceptable. Then of course we also have pets there and we're not meeting the inspections or at risk of not meeting the inspections. I'm surprised we have not failed an inspection. So I want to, you know, continue to support this project and being conservative is also a goal. And it sounds like there are some construction costs that we will not be able to prevent because of what the regulations that need to be in place. I'd be curious to know if, you know, as we go through WRA and the construction of it, if there are any phases that we could, you know, hold off on to prevent expansion. Or maybe I heard you say that this is only focused on what we're doing now and then expansion could occur at a different time, and that incorporates the overall 2.5?
No, your 2.5 is an estimate for your phase 1 renovation, which is all of the areas where your animals will be kept. It is also, it gets your staff moved in to the office side. It does not provide any additional kennel spacing or anything. What we wanted to do was really focus in on that first phase, making sure that all of the drains and HVAC and everything was done correctly then. Now, in that phase 1, of course, we're not going to stop the AC system. So all the AC systems on the other side of the building will be done at the same time. There are some things that we didn't just, you know, draw a line there and say nothing on that side. The things that make sense to go ahead and repair in the building at the same time, such as your mechanical, your electrical all throughout. But the majority of what you'll see is the kennels and everything being installed.
Okay.
So just to be clear on the vote here, if by us committing to the design services, we're not committing to the full scope of the project.
This is just what this is going to do is get us all the way through bidding. Okay. Just like you did with Fire Station 3. So the next time you see this, you'll have actual contractor bids and pricing.
Okay. Thanks, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if you so choose, council, this is approve recommendation for WRA Architects and Core Construction for the Pet Adoption Center, task order number 2. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's what we're looking at approving. And if you don't, then not approve, I guess. But is there a motion on 7.5?
Motion to approve item 7.5 as presented.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Mayor Ronnie Velasquez, Mayor Pro Tem District 3, a second from Donna Renee, District 2, to approve the recommendation for WRA Architects and Core Construction for the Pet Adoption Center, task order number 2. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. Our next item on the agenda, council, is our consent agenda. These items can be considered all at once. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Phil Robinson, District 5, a second from Donna Renee, District 2, to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous vote of those present. We don't have any executive session, so we are now adjourned.